Yeah, hello again. This is Andrew Koken. You know, I did a video a while back. It was about alcoholics and why they hide their bottles in cans. And people couldn't understand, well, why don't they just throw their bottles and cans out in the garbage like everybody else does? And that would seem rational, but you have to realize when someone is caught in the grips of alcoholism, either in the second or third or fourth later stages, you're not dealing with a rational mindset. You're not dealing with someone who thinks in a linear, rational way, and they're really trying to hide their addiction, and they don't want the people in their life to find out the truth, even though the people in their life are well aware of the truth. Let me give you an example. I mean, there's one time I came home, I couldn't figure out why the family room in our house always smelled of stale beer. I looked underneath the couches, the usual suspective places behind the TV, obvious things. And one day I was sitting there and I saw this, I just caught this corner of a aluminum can sticking out of the back of the bookshelves. And I had this massive bookshelf. It was about 10 feet wide and about 7 feet tall. It was actually two giant shelves, and it had glass doors in front of it, so it was hard to see. And I opened up the glass door and I pulled it back, and I mean, every book was filled with crushed cans, beer cans. There's probably in the neighborhood of 400 to 500 cans. And my wife wasn't home at the time. I think she might have been in a rehab at the time. And my son and I, we got some garbage cans, and we filled up 7 garbage cans of empty beer cans that were hidden behind these giant bookshelves. I mean, this is just one example. I used to find wine bottles in the flower bed. I used to find them underneath furniture, couches, just normal places you'd find them. I'd find them in the dirty clothes, underneath, in a hamper underneath the dirty clothes. You'd find them. She'd hide them in coats that were hanging in the closet. I mean, there's no rational reason behind it, but it's a red flag. The whole point of this conversation is it's a red flag that the person has a very serious issue. If they're at the point where they're making irrational decisions to have to hide their bottles and cans. It's a very important point. It also ties in with a person's drinking alone in isolation. So they feel shame already. They're aware that they have a problem, but they don't want to fully admit that they have a problem, even though that they're fully aware that they do. The mind does not work rationally. You have to realize alcohol affects your brain physically, emotionally, and chemically. And you're not dealing with a rational mindset. I hope that makes sense. If you can relate to this in some way, certainly comment. I hope it gives you some insight if you have an alcoholic in your family. I have an alcoholic, I have a coaching program coming out in a few weeks. It's going to be called There's an Alcoholic in the Family, and it's going to help both alcoholics and their family members understand what's going on and how to move forward for a life of sobriety and a better life for both the alcoholic and the family. You can go to the website, www.amandacautionarytale.com, and you can join us, join our Facebook group at the same name, amandacautionarytale.com. Thanks for listening.